Hi, and welcome to the second episode of Beneath the Weight. Today I have Tiffany Manbodh. And my name is Anna Dykeman, and I'm the community manager. And today I'm going to present you what you can do to manage your stress, especially when it comes to eating habits. So, hi, Tiffany. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Hi, so my name is Tiffany. I was originally born and raised in Georgetown, Guyana, the only English-speaking country in South America.
Oh,
I
wow.
moved to the United States at 9 years old, and I went through school. And it's funny because my background is actually in education, and now I've moved into the health coaching, but a lot of my skills, especially when it comes to like time management and just managing people, a lot of the skills do transfer into my current career field. And I really, really love it. But I do feel like my teaching pairs so well with health coaching because one of my passions is teaching and also writing, and it blends so well together, and I just love it.
I can only imagine. Yeah, definitely. Especially when you're trying to teach people something health related, you already have the basics and skills.
Yes, yes, so it helps a lot.
So, the health coach, what do you actually do?
So basically, a health coach is actually a person you see in between your doctor. So my role is a supportive mentor, and I help to keep individuals accountable, because you could go to the doctor and, like, they'll tell you, oh, you need to change your diet, exercise, blah blah blah. And then most people, they go home and sometimes they don't do it, or either they don't know where to start or how to start. And so that's where I come in. I hold their hand, I support them, I love on them, and we journey through it all together. Because if you're looking to make changes in regards to weight and diet, behavioral change will take time. And they say it takes 21 days to form a new habit, especially if you've been used to eating a certain way all your life. Maybe you eat a lot of more cultural foods, or maybe the cultural foods you're eating, they're not exactly aligned with your health goals per se. So there's a lot of nitty and gritty stuff that I get into with my clients, in order for them to make that shift a little bit more easier for them.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, beneath the weight is all about, what's beneath the weight, especially when it comes to anxiety, trauma, stress, and all that kind of stuff. So tell me a little bit, like, what inspires you actually? Like, what inspired you to go in this direction?
Sure. Sometimes just the simple things inspire me, like nature, for example, or the way like plants and the waves of the beach, like everything is so in sync, and they take on this like restful nature, in where everything's accomplished. Like they don't have to work super, super hard. And I think when it comes to talking about like eating and that kind of stuff, the way you approach it, you need to be easy, you need to be loving, you need to be compassionate, and also just seeing people living in their truth, exuding their authenticity, being bold, standing up for themselves, being their own advocate.
Oh yeah.
All of that inspires me.
That's awesome. Yeah, especially like when everything comes in sync. And I mean, that's what we really want, right? We want the body to work.
Yeah.
So when it comes to weight loss, I mean, that's like what most of our members are actually wanting to do after all, right? Like, how can they approach that?
Right. So, like, the first thing right off the bat, I would say, do not follow the trendy diets. Like, we'll see like all of these fad diets circulating on TikTok and other social media. And when it comes to weight loss, we need to look deeper. We need to go deeper than you just want to lose 30 pounds. Maybe you want to feel confident again, like when you were in college and you were exercising and a lot of things were happening in your life. So I really sit with the clients, and we dive deeper, we go back to when they were feeling the best in their life, what was going on, what was doing, and we just try to replicate it. If something had worked for them, maybe it wouldn't work again necessarily, because now we have other factors coming into the equation. But it's really just being truly, truly present. And I was taught by someone recently that true change can only come from a place of self-love. It cannot come from lack. So if you're thinking about, I need to lose weight because I don't have this, or I want to fit into jeans, or you're still in this mindset of lack. And if I can help you shift that to see that there are other reasons, to love yourself where you are, and just embrace that, it's going to make the process a little bit easier. And also, a huge part of it is the mindset behind losing weight. So it cannot just be for like confidence, but maybe they want to have a better relationship or more intimacy with their partner. And so the weight might be actually holding them back. Or maybe they experienced a really traumatic event a few years ago or a few months, and emotions, they get stuck in the body.
Oh
And
yeah.
sometimes you can feel weighed down by it, not just physically but mentally as well. So there's so many different factors that can influence, someone being overweight. Maybe or maybe not they have something related to their hormones, or maybe they're a different body type if we're looking at them from an Ayurvedic perspective. Because like in Ayurveda, which is one of the ancient healing systems, they have like three different body types. You have the Vata, which is a body type where they're more airy, they like to exercise a lot, they need a lot of movement. And then you have another body type, such as the Kapha, which is a person that tends to hold on more weight. And so they also need to be exposed to different diet and certain exercises for their particular body type. So I think when it comes to weight loss, I would say it needs to be individualized. Just because your friend's on the keto diet or the low carb diet or the Atkins diet doesn't mean that that is going to work for your body type, because your metabolism is different. Your stress management might be different too.
Oh, absolutely. So what was that called again, that ancient health system?
Ayurveda. So there's two. There's actually Ayurveda, and then there's traditional Chinese medicine. And they have a little bit of similar aspects, but the way they approach weight loss too, they look at the elements of a person. So it goes back to the bio-individual approach. Everyone has a certain makeup, and no two persons are alike in that sense.
Absolutely. So wow, you said something about change comes from a place of love. That is
Yeah.
so powerful.
Yes. Yes.
When I was
You know,
so much on, oh, I'm so sorry.
No, it's something that I learned this year too from another practitioner, and it really opened up my mind. Because if you're getting up in the morning, you're thinking, I gotta exercise because I gotta lose weight, like you're putting this unnecessary pressure on yourself, as opposed to if you looked at it as, I love my body and I want to take care of this body of mine, so I'm going to do what feels good for it. I'm going to exercise. I'm going to eat things that make me feel energized and not lethargic or fatigued. You're really going to nourish your entire system, your body, your mind, your spirit. So you're also taking into account things in your environment, the people you hang around with, the conversations you're having. Are there energy making you feel depleted? Or you just don't want to be around certain people because you're feeling heavy. There's so many different things that goes into it.
Absolutely, I totally agree with that. I mean, I know from my personal history and well story, how much that can actually affect you. So, tell me a little bit, like, where did you learn all that? Like, it's like so much knowledge. Like, where did you learn that?
Yes, so I actually attended the Institute for Integrated Nutrition, which is one of the largest nutrition schools, and actually it's based in New York. And how I came across them is that a year ago I was working at an acupuncture clinic, and that is actually where I started to experience and learn about alternative medicine and stuff, in my day-to-day working life. And I became very curious. And a part of me always knew that I wanted to do something, but I wasn't sure what that something was. I mean, if someone told me 5 years ago I would have been a health coach or a business owner, I would have laughed at them because I just couldn't see myself as that 5 years ago. And so my curiosity led me to Googling. I was looking for like holistic schools, or I thought I wanted to study Ayurveda. But then I came across this school, and when I took a look at their curriculum, it was very comprehensive because it wasn't just nutrition. They had stuff like meditation, and stress management and anger management. And I was fascinated. I had to get on a phone call with them, and they even had this like free thing that you could watch, or like you can kind of experience what it would be like. And I just knew right then and there. So even after I had signed on for my program, that like the first few introductory modules, I knew I had found the right place.
That definitely sounds also super inspiring. I mean, like, again, change comes from a place of love. If you couldn't see yourself, being that way 5 years ago, and all that came with it, that's so amazing.
Yes, and might I add one more thing? Something I loved about my school was that it's a very well recognized school, and they're really credible because they do have affiliations with the New York State Department of Education, since the founder, Joshua Rosenthal, he was actually in education as well. And
Right.
so he had this idea to, create this school. And a lot of my lecturers were the leading medical and health experts, people like Dr. Oz, Dr. Andrew Weil, Dr. Mike Hyman, and all of these other incredible speakers on self-love and, having more joy in your life. And I just felt super pumped every time I watched my lecture videos.
Oh man, that sounds great. Yeah, that was actually my next question. Like so many people are always like a little bit iffy about, this integrative medicine and, alternative medicine in general. Like that was my question. Like how can people like know that it's so reliable or like even valid or, scientifically proven, right?
Right. Yeah, so the first thing, when you come across anyone, you want to know their background. You want to know what school they went to. Is it credible information? Because when I was studying education, I also did a semester of research with one of my professors. And just to go through the process to see if something's credible, you have to make sure you're doing the research and you are fact checking. Also, when it comes to like scientific stuff, they have to have like peer reviewed study. So sometimes you might read an article about losing weight online, but make sure it's like .edu.
Oh yeah.
The URL is .edu, .org, or Harvard Health. They have their own like medical articles that they also publish, and I did subscribe to their newsletter. So I really like getting updates like that and staying current with whatever is going on, because nutrition, it's always going to contradict each other, and that's why, like sometimes it's hard to find like two people who agree on the same thing because they come from different schools of thought. But it goes back to the person being a bio individual. They say what works for one person doesn't work for any another person or anyone else.
That is so important and so powerful. But one thing that works for one person might not work for the next. It's
Yeah, like I might love peanut butter, but you might be allergic to it, because our systems biologically are different, physiologically are different.
That's also reminds me, like how important it is not to compare yourself, not to compare your own story and, journey, especially when it comes to weight loss and, discovering, what's underneath that whole weight, not to compare it to another person.
And I think another thing about comparison too, when we compare ourselves, they say comparison's a thief of joy, but really why it is because when we're comparing ourselves, we're looking at something external to compare to ourselves. We're not comparing ourselves to the internal. And so this book I was reading recently called A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle really delves into the ego and comparison. And so they were talking about, comparison's just your ego's way of finding something else about someone to make you feel inferior or superior. And it's always going to be trying to find something else, which is why it's important to cultivate that relationship, that intimacy with self, through self-care practices, whether it looks like affirmations or gratitude or just being in front of the mirror and looking at your body and just like hugging your body and telling your body that you love it and you're going to take care of it because it's all you have. And it keeps you going. If we don't have this body, we can't function.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my God, I agree so much with everything you say. And I think that's so powerful. So many people don't even think about that.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me a little bit like, what's your favorite tool that you like to use with your clients? Like, share a little bit, like the background of
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, so I have many, but one of my favorite tools would definitely be mindful eating, because mindful eating embodies having presence, being present with your food. So when you're eating, they say the way you eat is the way you do a lot of different things. And this was something that I had learned in my coaching program. If you're a person that you're always busy, you might be eating, rushing to your next task,
Oh
and
yeah.
not really being present with your food. Or if you eat and you watch TV, or if you eat and you're on your cell phone, or if you're eating the car and driving to work because you got to get to work on time. So mindful eating brings more presence into the equation by engaging the senses, your sense of smell, your sense of touch, because depending what you're eating, it might be crunchy, it might be a little bit soft, different textures. You're really engaging the senses and being present. And also, there is a layer of gratitude involved, because before you eat your food, you can really think about where it came from. Like, how far did it have to travel to get to your plate, the hands that harvested your food? So just that element of gratitude before you're eating, engaging your senses, and being in tune with your body, because your body has this kind of intelligence where we get cravings sometimes. And
Mm.
it's your body's way of saying, okay, I want this thing. But you've got to figure out why you want that thing. Are you stressed? Are you trying to soothe an emotion? Maybe you just had a breakup and now you're craving more sweets, or you want more chips, depending on your personality. Because someone, they might emotional eat through chips. Someone might do it through sweets or candies. It's all different. So it really does go back to self-love, practicing mindful eating, being present with your food, and having compassion for yourself, because sometimes you are going to mess up. You might get really angry with someone or be in an emotional state. You're going to stress eat, but remembering that you can always choose to wake up the next day
Mhm.
and recommit to yourself.
Absolutely. So, so many people are talking obviously about like mindful eating, but it all comes down to, experiencing what it's like and asking yourself like, okay, hey, this is crunchy right now. Let me like taste, like, what does it actually taste like? Is it sweet? Is it salty? Is it, I don't know, herby? Like, what is it actually, like, what kind of taste am I getting out of it? Does that seem right?
Yeah, because you're referring to engaging the senses. So yeah, you're gonna focus on the smells, the textures, the flavors, how it feels in your mouth, like if it's soft, because after you eat something, your glands in the mouth, they start to break down the food, so the texture is going to change. For example, if you're eating a piece of crunchy toast, when you put it in your mouth, after a few seconds, it's going to soften.
Oh,
But be mindful about that. That's a way to practice that. And
yeah.
it's a practice, and it does take time. So for someone not used to mindful eating, just be with it. It takes time, just like any new skill that you're learning. Just be compassionate with yourself.
I love that. I love everything that you shared today. And I think our members learned so much from you. And thank you so much for sharing all that knowledge. And especially like, that the tool at the very end. I think most people don't realize how to, eat properly. And
Mm-hmm.
you always only hear that like on the side, oh yeah, you need to be mindful, blah, blah, blah. But you don't actually know what it means. And I think it was meant so much that you shared that with us today. And thank you so much for that. So where can they find you if they have more questions or if they want to follow you or all that stuff?
Sure. So if you would like to connect with me, if you love something I said today, feel free to follow me on Instagram. My handle is the holistic heroine, Heroine. I know it's a little bit weird, but when I hear the word heroine, I think of someone who saves the day. So I would like to be one.
Oh, that's so sweet. Absolutely. Thank you so much. So thank you so much for tuning in into this episode. We're going to be back with another episode with someone else, and you're going to be basically just learning all these new skills. Thank you so much, Tiffany, and have a great day.
Thank you for having me. You as well.